prompted the questions. Just to kind of remind everybody where we are, the city was issued a preliminary, what they call a preliminary permit by FERC to do development for the possible hydroelectric sites at the, what they call Lock and Dam 24 at Clarksville, Missouri, and dam number 25 at Winfield, Missouri. Those were issued in May 2009. The permits last 3 years at a time. They will expire on April the 30th of 2012. FERC requires that the permit holder file a progress report every 6 months in order to keep the the permit in good standing. If that's not done, then they issue a notice to you, and if you still don't file the report, then they terminate the permit, which means anybody else can come in and apply. The city's final 6-month report was due on today. As a matter of fact, it was filed last week, I think on the 25th. That was done to keep the permit, both permits for 24 and 25 in good standing at the request of Coastal Hydropower, our attempted partner. Coastal has, they came down for another site visit on September the 13th, viewed the dam locations again at 21, 24, 25, met with the local representatives here, and they are still extremely interested in developing 24 and 25 sites to the extent that they raised the proposal that they would put together a plan that the city would apply for a license, apply for another permit, apply for a license, own the facility. They would do all the development work, they would do all the construction, they would do the operation to complete the project at their expense without any financial liability for the city, if that was an acceptable arrangement with FERC. And the response there was that if they came and presented a proposal, they would certainly present this to the city council, which would be the body that would have to approve any contract with them. So they are in the process. I believe they met, were scheduled to meet with FERC representatives last week, as a matter of fact, to sound them out on what types of arrangements that Coastal could have with the city of Quincy for numbers 24 and 25. I believe they were also supposed to meet with attorneys at Van Ness Feldman in connection with their legal issues at their expense while they were in Washington, D.C. I don't know if they had managed, if those meetings got to take place or what the outcome of that is. We're still waiting to hear back from them. I think the mayor or Chuck is about to send a letter to Neil Anderson, the president of Coastal, kind of reminding them that if they are serious about making a proposal to the city, that suggesting they need to have the finished product here delivered no later than February the 1st of 2012. So there's a reasonable opportunity for the city council to look it over and talk about it and talk about any adjustments they want and then vote it up or down, and that the city is not going to apply for any more permits on this unless that agreement is done and approved and signed at that point too. So that's where we are in those projects. I guess there was a question about what the city did for these reports. If anybody read the report that was just filed on 24 and 25 and looked at the reports that were filed last May, you'll see they're almost word for word identical. The work that's been done on that has not been done by the city, it's been done by Coastal to promote their proposal too. As far as I know, the city is not spending more money on either one of those projects at this point too. That those letters were only filed at the request of Coastal to keep those permits going too, so that they would have the time they needed to get their act together and just come in and present something. So that's where we are on that. We're waiting for them. Hopefully they've gotten the message here and that they are serious, and it looks like they are serious too, that they will come together and with a package or a proposal to make to the city not much longer after the first of the year. On the Dam 21 project, the idea was to, at this point I understand the bond issue is kind of resolved, it's stabilized, through the refinancing. There's no immediate emergency on that too in terms of getting money in from the work product. So the suggestion is that the city at least offer Coastal the first choice of buying any of the work product for 21 in case they could use it either with 24 or 25, or keep it and use it for a future permit application for 21. And when we hear back from them, I think they're waiting to get their, I think they were waiting to meet with FERC this week too to kind of get a better idea if they could go forward. If they are not interested in that, then we are prepared to go out and send the other proposals to the interested parties we know for the Dam 21 work product. So that's kind of been on hold until we hear back from Coastal and whether, just how interested they are and do they have interest or can they use this other items too. So that's where we are at 21 at this point, just kind of in a holding pattern too.
Thank you, Joe, for the update. Any yes, Norman Eric?
Joe, I guess what prompted some of the questions that I had was you have a copy of the Clayton report.
Yes, I do.
The last paragraph of that, when you read that, I think most people would understand why some would think that there was ongoing work on the project. So you're telling us that there's, as far as you know, there's been nothing additionally done as far as the city?
No. The work done in terms of, and I'll just read the last sentence here, it says, analysis and refinement of financial factors such as interest rates, grant availability, project financing, and power sales will also be reviewed and updated on current market conditions. That is, it's my understanding that is being done, but it's being done by Coastal right now. That is the progress report. That's not being done by the city of Quincy. And if I could read, this is the last paragraph or the last sentence of the report that was filed May the 12th, 2011. Analysis and refinement of the financial factors such as interest rate, grant availability, project financing, and power sales will also be reviewed and updated based on current market conditions. So it's pretty much, this report is pretty much a repeat of what was filed last time.
Well, and that falls into the concern I had that we were either kind of following boilerplate form letter that could be construed as misleading FERC, but now that you're saying it's the Coastal doing the work, I guess I can see that.
Yeah, they are doing that too.
Okay, so okay.
And they know there's the clock is going to run out on April the 30th, so that's their chance.
And the only other question I had, and I wanted clarification of this. As of right now, we're trying to salvage some remuneration for the work product on 21.
Yes.
Okay. We're not to that point with 24 and 25 yet, where we're seeking a buyer for the work product. We're actually kind of in a holding pattern to see what kind of deal can be worked out while we still hold this permits.
Well, yes, because if Coastal is serious about putting together what could be an acceptable proposal for the city and Coastal to move forward together for 24 and 25. And again, that would have to be something that the council itself is going to have to approve. I mean, that's the only way that the city could move forward on that. If that happens, then that's the purchaser for that stuff. I mean, those materials will be immediately, will be used as part of that project.
And then this might be because you're the hybrid court board attorney. Is there really any need to have, since we've changed this, is there any need to have a separate entity of the hybrid court board?
Well, I was thinking about that today, as a matter of fact, because we've just gotten the renewal report, or the annual corporate report from the Secretary of State for 2011, which has to be filed by, I believe, December the 1st is the deadline too, and I think the filing fee will probably be about $100 too, and I don't know if, I mean, you know, I think you asked me that question when I was here in June too, and I think my answer would have to be the same. For $100, you know what, Coastal might want to buy it. I mean, just take over the corporation. I mean, they will have to set up some sort of U.S. subsidiary on a local basis to operate one of these projects if they're going to go through. You know, for $100, it might be worthwhile just to keep it going for another year. I mean, just the entity itself, if it can be of use to whoever buys this stuff, whoever wants to go forward with these projects too. So on that basis, you know, my recommendation would be just to keep it going. I mean, it's not really doing it, it's not incurring a lot of expense. It's kind of minimal upkeep at this point. It might be of use to somebody. You know, in about a year, if it really hasn't shown that is going to be useful to, then just let the thing be dissolved at that point.
You could just do it by not filing.
Oh yeah, that's, I mean, the cleaner way is to file an articles of dissolution, but most people just don't file the reports, and you get it automatically revoked too, and that happens about 90 days later.
Well, that was my big question, and I certainly appreciate the update. I would suggest that we have the opportunity, once in a while, kind of maybe a consolidated update that shows financials of where we're at on the lot. So that's all I can think.
We've been told that work has stopped at Locking Dam 21 and that we are not paying for work in 24 and 25. But I've got a report on some spending here, and we've got Klinger and Associates July 13th, $700. Klinger and Associates 5/23, $5,000. Ecological Specialist 9/14 for $7,700. Can anybody explain those? Is there something I'm missing?
Well, maybe Steve Wagering. It was my impression those were projects that were ordered before the stop order in, and we were obligated to pay for them. But
Chuck.
or Chuck.
The Klinger bills are associated with the appeal, the FERC appeal, where we went back to FERC on the licensing. So we had to prepare information for Van Ness, technical information for them, and that was required information that we had to provide them, and that's where that $5,000 is associated with.